Welcome to the Jackin Around Show, hosted by two-time Academy of Country Music Award winner, Jack Ingram. Coming up in 2 minutes, Jack welcomes the Queen of Austin, Texas, singer-songwriter Kelly Willis. I'm producer Matt Peveto. To learn more about Kelly, Jack, and the show, check the description. Also in the description is a link to access jackandaroundshow.com, where you'll find the most up-to-date news, upcoming release schedule, and links to watch this episode on YouTube or to listen on your favorite audio platform, and to access the back catalog of episodes. Before we begin, here's a 1-minute preview of episode 28, followed by a quick word from Jack on behalf of our sponsor, Lone Star Dry Goods.
So when I was 9, my parents split up and my mom left. I was raised by my dad, who was in the military working all the time. And then the older I got, the closer my family was able to get again.
When you were in the rockabilly world, did you do the whole big makeup and like all the skirts? And
I had a pompadour. Moss would do my pompadour for me. I'd do a ponytail and he would pull it out and we'd get the Aquanet.
You worked with Scott Borchetta.
I did. So Scott was brand new back then, an independent promoter. He did what he could. I really didn't get a lot of radio play, but
You were on MCA though. After media training, did they send you out on a radio tour? And
yep. Oh, it was awful. I was so bad at that, Jack. I was not prepared for that. And so to me, it's funny that after I made what I deserve and I had more success in this kind of independent world, that I was able to go find the career path that fit me, that I could understand and that I could be successful at.
yeah.
Jackin Around Show is presented by Lone Star Dry Goods, a curated collection of handcrafted quality goods, the truly unique Americana vibe. Visit Lone Star Dry Goods in person, right here at the world headquarters in historic downtown Abilene, Texas, just west of Fort Worth and Willow Park. Or online at LoneStarDryGoods.com.
Last time I talked to him was on that boat. A couple years ago when Bruce and I drove down to
Oh, yeah.
Port A, or where does he go? Rockport?
Rockport.
And Charlie was pissed because we weren't going 150 miles offshore.
Right.
I thought we were going down, so did Bruce, to rehearse and like relearn our songs and stuff.
Oh, I got to do something real quick and I'll be ready.
And we get there, a full truck full of shit. Beer,
For fishing? Oh.
drinks, food, enough for like a 3-day trip. And I was like, Bruce, this doesn't look like... I was like, I thought we were going to have
Where's the guitars?
a little rod and reel off the dock and fish and
Right.
talk. Next thing I know, I'm having to negotiate with Charlie, and I made up a basketball game. I was like, dude, I gotta get back to coach.
Right.
Well, fuck, man. There's no good fish 30 miles off. I was like, I don't fucking care.
I'm not going to catch anything.
Yeah, I haven't caught a fish since I was 7 years old.
Oh, yeah. The last time I caught a fish, the reel snapped in half.
That means you had a big fish.
I don't know. It was in like a little pond. Maybe.
Was it out of the studio?
No, it was at a cousin, Robinson cousin's place.
Are you done?
I'm ready.
I'll hold this. I'm going to hold this pick for security.
You're
Yeah,
nervous.
maybe.
I'm nervous.
Are you nervous?
He is.
Not nervous.
Yes, he said he was nervous. He called me twice this week.
Well, now I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Okay, don't you be nervous.
It'll be fine. We've known each other for how long?
I don't know, a long time. Since longer than, well, I can only remember about 3 years back, I was saying earlier. So I know it's before that.
It would have been 90.
I don't know when we met. I just feel like I've always known you.
Oh,
Really?
I have always known you. We played that little charity event for your friend with Sean Colvin We had that picture together.
Oh, yeah. Was that when we met?
No.
No, we met before that.
We met before that, but
That was 91, I think. Wasn't it? No, it was probably 99.
It was 95 or 96.
Yeah.
What was her name?
Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. I'll blurt it out.
Christy something.
Yes. Chris McKay.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Where is she now? You don't know.
I know that she was, for a while, she was being like a personal chef to people at like fancy people in LA.
You ever see Sean?
I do see Sean every now and then, but not very often.
I've only seen her in airports for the last 20 years.
Right. I'm doing a songwriter retreat next week with a bunch of girls, and she's supposed to come kick it off for us.
What are you doing?
Betty Sue asked me to come join her and several other girls, and it's just 2 nights where we're...
Betty Sue.
Yeah, you know her? She's fantastic. You should check her out.
She's a songwriter?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, she plays all over town and Continental Club.
What's this new
Gallery.
thing you're doing?
New thing.
With
Doing any
Brennan
new
Lee?
things. Oh. Oh, yeah.
That's new.
It's new. Yeah, I guess I had done some festival. Bruce and I had done some festival, and we were on the bill with Brennan. And then we did one of our Christmas shows one year, and she opened it up at the Globe Theater. And I was just so jealous. I wanted to play with just a couple of things without a whole lot of stage volume. I have a lot of material that I feel like I never get to play. It's not the right setting. And so I sent her an email and asked her if she and Melissa Carper wanted to swap songs together, but not just like a song swap where we actually play each other's songs like a band and sing on each other's songs, like, you know, no surprises. We know this material kind of stuff. So
it's just three guitars?
No, Melissa plays the stand-up bass, and then I play some rhythm guitar, and then Brennan is a badass
She's a real
lead
guitar player.
Yeah.
Are y'all playing like jazzy stuff or just old country stuff or your
It's
stuff?
pretty much old country stuff. I mean, our material, you know, we do swap songs. So it'll be a Brennan song, one of mine, and one of Melissa's. And yeah, it's fun. And their songs are so good. It's so, you know, the fun part about playing is when you get to just do the harmony parts and just play on someone else's stuff.
Yeah.
It's way more fun.
I never got to play in a band.
Yeah.
Like,
And you still kind of never really have. Like for me with Bruce, when we decided to do this duo thing,
yeah.
it was the first time that I got to, you know, just step back and play with the band, let somebody else deal with the telling a story and leading the evening, you know.
Right.
And just, it was so different and just really freeing and fun.
I've
I mean,
had that
you've done some
feeling.
of that, right?
Well, I've had that feel. I guess with Bruce
Yeah.
and Charlie,
And Charlie.
I've gotten to play their songs, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's like to really settle into a groove with a band and not feel the need to
Yeah.
lead the evening and be the
Yeah.
lead singer.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It is.
There's just, you kind of feel your whole self settle into a groove.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it really, it changed a lot for me to get to do that, to learn how to, well, if you're having fun, it's just a different thing. You know, you're able to present the show differently, and I can take that away with me when I go do my own show. I remember, you know, some of that stuff. I don't need to be so worried it's going to be fine. And it's just real different.
Have you always dealt with kind of that anxiety of leading the show?
Oh, God, yeah. So when did we first meet? Because I used to have, my social anxiety was so bad. I could hardly even speak. And I mean, in my first band, so I was dating the drummer and eventually married him, Mas Palermo. And he used to just have to speak for me. And he wasn't like trying to speak for me. It would just be like sometimes people would ask me stuff and he'd just go, he'd just rescue me all the time. So
that's why you married him.
That was a big part of his job in our relationship. And then
he was your high school boyfriend?
Yeah. Yeah. I was still in high school. I met him in high school, but it's a little funny because I was a freshman and he was a senior. And then it wasn't until I was a senior that we started dating. So he's like 3 years out of high school at that point.
Did you
dating a high school girl, which now seems weird, but at the time it didn't seem weird at all.
Well, that depends on the dude. Because there's also the stereotype of the older dude coming back to the high school.
Right, the creepy dude.
Yeah, going to the high school prom.
And Moss is not. He's like the opposite of creepy dude. He was a good guy.
Right. How did you deal with that? I know you were an Army brat.
Yeah.
So that must have been painful. To be that shy. Was it shy?
It's funny. I don't know that I was that shy when I was little. Like I was quiet. I was definitely quiet and stuff. But it wasn't until I got into the last few years of high school that it kicked in, this really bad social phobia.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time.
People just deal with that differently. I mean, for you, it was to back away. For me, it was to move forward.
Right?
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just an equal and opposite reaction to the same problem.
Right. To get louder.
Yeah, I would just go, okay, well, oh my God. Hey, everybody.
Right. Oh my God. No, for me, my mind just fogs over. Like I will be in a room with people and I would have had things that I wanted to say or stuff to contribute, fully realized thoughts, and I would open my mouth to say something. And after the third word, it would evaporate. Like I'd have no idea where I was going. And I would just have to find some words to shut the sentence down. And that was fun. Like it would make no sense really. And people would look at me like, okay. And
it's almost like you were paralyzed. Like in some stories or movies or whatever, where the person's paralyzed and they're trying so hard to.
Yes.
I'm here.
Yes,
I'm right here.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, I had all these. I wanted to be a part of what was happening, but it takes me a while. I have to. If I know you, then if we're like safe, then I can easily talk and think of what I want to say. But if it's a room full of people that I don't know that well.
That is a trip to think about and to hear you say that, because it really is the same. I don't settle down until I feel that same safety.
Right.
Like I don't quiet down.
Okay. Right. Gotcha. Yeah, because what I know about you is you make everybody feel like they know you and everybody can talk with you really easily. And you take time to talk to anybody in the entourage that you've just met and you hit it off with them. I mean, that's what I've observed about you.
Well, that's kind of I guess so. Because it's the only way I can feel comfortable is if I think everybody else, as long as everybody else is cool, they're not looking at me.
Right. Oh, that's good. I gotta try that.
It's a trip. Did you ever go to therapy about it or?
Well, sure. I mean, it's come up in any therapy that I've ever done, but I didn't go to therapy specifically for that. But I'll tell you what, did you ever do media training when you were up in Nashville?
I never had to do that.
I did it.
How was that? I've always heard about it. That was like
therapy. I mean, I think I cried the whole time. It was definitely therapy for me. Like I didn't want it to be.
Did you go with Holly Gleason or?
No, I can't remember the woman who gave me the sessions, but she was really cool and she could see what she was dealing with, but I was terrified because I came from a rockabilly world,
Mm-hmm.
and rockabilly people are serious about knowing the history and all the names and dates, and
Yeah,
they're critical. And so every interview I thought was like a test, and that I was gonna get revealed to be fake, not worthy of being interviewed, which of course I wasn't really worthy of being interviewed, but it was
but
terrifying.
nobody is.
Right. So
Oh, that must have been terrifying because you thought,
all those people, because I was already trying to bridge some different worlds. I was brought in to be that kind of artist that was, gonna try to take some of that less Nashville country and merge with the mainstream country and make it all work. So I was already 1 foot and 2 feet in different worlds.
who were you?
So-
Who were your contemporaries at that time? Like Patty Loveless was big.
Mm-hmm. So Steve Earle and Lyle Lovett and Nancy Griffith had just gotten escorted out of town, shifted over to the New York label.
Oh, right.
And
This was in the early 90s.
yeah, I think I might have gotten signed in 89 and put the record out in 90.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just came in after that. But they had just signed Trisha Yearwood. They had just signed, I guess, like other labels. Clint Black was new.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
Killing Time came out in 89.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I remember that video so well because my video for I Don't Want to Love You, But I Do was out at the same time. So anytime that there was a show, they were going to debut these things. I saw that one all the time.
How old were you when you got signed?
I think I was 20. I had this great manager, Carlin Major. She was this just ballsy woman, like Texas woman.
We talked about her with Matt Hillier the other day.
Oh, really?
Because she managed him too
That's right.
when he was
Coming up,
16,
yeah.
17.
And Monty Warden was a teenager when that must have been her deal. But she also was working with Marcia Ball when I met her, and Marcia was established already. But she really liked that I was 19 when I met her, and she wanted me to be 19 when we were pitching to the labels in Nashville.
She thought that was
So I know we said I was 19.
So you forgot your age.
After I was already 20. So I get confused about it.
That's funny.
But I think I was 20 when we signed, maybe 21.
Now, hold on. It doesn't explain to me how you wanted, like, being quiet and shy or whatever that was. How does that line up with wanting to get signed to a label and make records and
Right.
put yourself out there?
I think there are tons of people who are creative that love making art in some way, that are also that when they step onto the stage to do it, go, oh shit. I didn't know I was going to be shy.
Feel this way.
But
now,
it made me feel so happy and alive the first time I stepped on stage and sang. And I just wanted more of that. And I wanted to step up off the wall. I wanted to, be doing something and be living a big life,
Mhm.
it was going to be really hard for me to pull it off, but I wanted it.
Yeah. When you were in the rockabilly world, were you like, did you do the whole big makeup and like all the skirts? And
I had a pompadour. Moss would do my pompadour for me. I'd do a ponytail and he would pull it out and we'd get the Aquanet. And I'd have this big old pompadour in my ponytail. So that was fun. I don't know if I did. Oh, I did used to do a Marilyn Monroe mole.
You did?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, did you get into the dancing part too? Like, were you part of the audience or were you always a part of the stage?
No, I watched a lot of it too. And that reminds me of when Carlin first started to work with us. She would come out to the show. She was a big picture kind of a manager, you know, like you felt like you were working for her instead of her working for you. But she would come to the show and take notes, you know. And
Really?
there was this dance that I used to do, believe it or not, that because rockabilly back then was also kind of a little bit of a punk rockabilly thing going on. But there was this dance where I would stomp my foot and kind of do this thing that I had seen some other girl do, and I loved it. And she goes, Kelly, you got to stop doing that. You look like you're sitting on a toilet. Oh, okay.
That helps.
I don't want to.
I don't want to look like that.
Yeah, and she had notes for everyone. It was terrifying.
That's funny. You're the second person that Matt Hillier was talking about that, about how she would read him the riot act, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, here's what you're doing wrong. Here's this, here's that.
The Wagoneers called it the long ride north because she lived way north of town. And they knew if they were going up there, they were going to get, you know, read the riot act about something.
Where was the first time you stepped on stage?
In high school, my senior year, they had a battle of the bands. And all the guys in my band had graduated already, so we weren't allowed to compete, but they let us play at intermission. So I got up there and we did some Collins Kids tunes and I don't remember, maybe a Wanda Jackson song.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was Moss kind of the impetus for you to? He was in the band. He was the drummer, I guess.
Yeah. So they were already in a band, these guys, and then they decided to regroup. And when they were regrouping, Moss and I were like, maybe I could be the singer. So I feel so bad that he had to bring his girlfriend in to be the singer. I'm sure that was awkward, but we
No,
back,
I'm sure that was fine.
super cool. But we had gone back then on the beach.
You probably even had ideas.
If I did, they did not get vocalized. One time I remember the guitar player, John Sherrick, going, can she sing this in C? to Moss, because I was so shy I couldn't even answer that question. But back then on the beach, they had these recording booths, and there was a booth. You could get a cassette when you left of any old song, you know? And so we did this Elvis Presley Teddy Bear. I sang it, and we used it to get me into the band, and I got in.
You're kidding. The beach. Where was this? What town?
I guess it was Ocean City in Maryland. I was up in D.C. at that time.
Right.
So.
Okay, where all did you live?
As an Army brat?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was born in Oklahoma, and that's where my family's from. But then I lived in Kansas, Georgia. I did most of my childhood in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and then my junior high and high school years in Northern Virginia and Annandale. So I was the baby, and the more rank you get, you have options. They'll say you could stay here 2 more years or go here. So my dad kept choosing to stay.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
Just one of each, older.
How much older?
My brother's 7 years older and my sister's 5 years older, but she'll say 4.
Why?
Because
The
it
girl
makes her
thing?
seem older. But the truth is, it's closer to 5.
Wow. Did you enjoy that? Like, was that a good childhood?
It was okay. It was so when I was 9, my parents split up and my mom left. And so I was raised by my dad, who was in the military working all the time. So I don't know. My family felt all mixed up after that.
Where'd your mom go?
She moved to New York. She was doing acting, and she moved to New York with Ed Dennehy, who's Brian Dennehy's brother, and went up there. And then she moved back to Oklahoma, and then she went to L.A., and she lived in L.A. for a long time.
Is she still living?
No, she passed away in 2014.
Did you guys have a good relationship, or was it tough?
Well, it wasn't bad. It just was, she was just gone. So I would talk to her maybe once a month. So, but after I moved out, turned 18, then we got closer at that point. We were able to
Did you kind
see
of
each other a lot more. And then we were never like on the outs or anything.
right?
It was always fine.
Did you begin to understand? Is that a part of what you do as a singer, like as a performer? Is that
Right.
part of where you got that?
For sure. Because being young, when I got signed, everybody would go, where does this, she's singing about heartbreak and she's 20. How could she even know? And it used to really annoy me because young people experience all kinds of heartbreak.
That's right.
And for me, my mom left me when I was 9, and I can't imagine a bigger heartbreak for a kid. Like, of course you know about heartbreak when you're a kid.
Absolutely. In fact, you probably, I mean, this is all just my thoughts, but
Right.
I remember feeling so much more intense emotions
Yeah.
because you don't really have the defense mechanisms
Right.
to block it off.
Yeah. And you haven't learned how to hide
Yeah.
how you really feel.
I remember in the 6th grade feeling heartbreak. This girl broke my heart. And I remember that's when I realized that in the morning you feel worse.
Oh. Oh, do you have a song about that?
I don't know if I do or not, but I know it's a part of my songs, some of them, because I just know that feeling when you're like, oh my God, this wanting to have distance between you and the emotion. The longer the day gets, the more you are distracted.
Yeah.
But yeah, nine, not understanding why your mom left.
Yeah. Give me this thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it was just misery.
I get it.
It's just when I think of my childhood, I just think of that divorce and us rebuilding. And then we did rebuild. My dad remarried and when I was 13 and then the older I got, the closer my family was able to get again. It was just that one little period of time where, everybody, it was just a big freak out. And, my brother also went off to college and it was just a strange time.
Yeah, it's like an earthquake.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Did your dad take to being a single dad for a while? Like, how was that? How was that?
Well, so my dad, I mean, he was a teenager in the 50s and he's an Army guy. So, he had not been changing diapers and stuff, right? So this was new territory for him.
Was he a Lucky Strike kind of in his sleeve kind of guy?
He was a badass. He was, a really great soldier and career Army. But he was also charming and funny and handsome. I just loved him. So he's my hero. But it was definitely new ground for him to suddenly have to do everything when he had done only being the soldier before that.
Right. Coming home.
Yeah.
Having a drink, whatever.
Right.
Being a man of that time.
Yeah, being the dad, and hopefully he's not going to have to spank anybody because, like just wait till your dad comes home and kind of stuff. That era, right?
I remember that happened to me one time. My dad had to whip me with a belt.
Oh, yeah. I got spanked with a belt one time.
And he said, as he recalled later, it really did, like he hated it.
Yeah, that's what my dad said too. It was like one time. Mostly it was the fear of getting spanked with the belt.
Yeah, my dad would do that thing where
Yeah.
he'd pop it.
Why was this okay? This was totally okay. And no one thought it was weird.
I know.
And poor guys that they're like, this is my job in the family. Like, I don't get to just be loving. And
I have to come home and beat somebody up who's 4 feet smaller than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it sounds like your father, he's not alive anymore. He passed away.
No, he did pass away in 2000, right before I had my first kid. So, but we had to do in vitro for that baby, and he paid for it. And he knew that I was pregnant before he died. So it was
really?
pretty sweet. And then we had a boy. It was the first grandbaby boy in the family, so we named him after my dad.
Daryl.
Daryl. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dodie.
Yeah. We call him Dodie.
How'd that come about?
Because his real name is Daryl Otis, and we were thinking, well, maybe we'll call him D.O. Like, it was awkward for me to call him my dad's name. So we were coming up with nicknames, and Dodie just happened. And I remember someone going, well, be careful. Those nicknames have a way of sticking. To this day, we call him Dodie. And he tries to go by Daryl at work and at college and stuff like that.
He does? I think Dodie's a great name.
I do too. I think it sounds like a baseball player's name to me.
That's right. It kind of does. Do they go by Robinson?
Yeah.
And Willis is your maiden name?
It is. And my youngest son's middle name is Willis. So we got that in there. But yeah, I think I had changed it to Palermo when I married Moss. But I always went by Willis, was already making records. We got married the year we signed to MCA. So I was already on record as Kelly Willis. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Bruce and I got married, I was like, I'm not changing my name.
Yeah, that's a troubling last name anyway.
Yeah, it is.
I call him Charlie Robinson, Bruce Robinson.
I remember we were doing an interview one time, and the disc jockey goes, is it Robison? And Bruce goes, yeah. And I'm like, it's not Robison. Why did you say that? And he's like, I don't know. I couldn't.
Now, when you were married, when you got signed,
Mm-hmm.
do female artists, I remember feeling a certain unspoken, like they wished I wasn't married.
Oh, right.
Like that whole Elvis thing of like,
Yeah.
don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I didn't, and then nobody ever said it to me, but did you
Well,
feel like a certain sense of that?
I remember everyone going, oh, you guys are getting married? Good luck with that, because we did get divorced a year later. So they were right. But yeah, I think they would have preferred young single person, right?
I mean, I guess if I was running a label and
Mm-hmm.
signed a beautiful young 19-year-old woman, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just different.
But then they did need someone to speak for me. So it was pretty good that he was there. No, then I started being able to do interviews. And then I remember it was like, Moss was like, well, you don't need me at this interview. You
He
can
had
do
his
it
his
yourself."
role was taken away.
I don't know if it was taken away.
We can talk about that later. that involves a copay. You worked with Scott Borchetta.
I did. So Scott was brand new back then, an independent promoter. And we hired him. He would work, known for working the edgier stuff, the not straight up country stuff. And so we brought him in to do that. And it was, those were exciting times. And he was full of all kinds of energy and he, he did what he could. I really didn't get a lot of radio play, but.
Right. You were on MCA though.
Mm-hmm.
Did they send you through after media training, did they send you out on a radio tour? And
Yep. Oh, it was awful. I was so bad at that, Jack. I mean, awful. But they would always have these cute stories about how funny Trisha Yearwood was because she had just been through and she would charm them all. And I was just, hardly speaking. It was such hard work. And then I would cry every night in the hotel room, just cry my eyes out because it was so miserable.
you did the dinners.
Oh, yeah.
The conference room performance,
Mm-hmm.
the whole bit.
Yeah. And, a lot of people were kind, and they added me because I was Tony Brown's pet project. So I did get some ads, but, after that kind of generous time was over, they were like, and I don't blame them. I wasn't cut out for that at all. That wasn't my strong suit.
Right.
I was young. I'm not sure I had a strong suit yet, but
I did notice that after you, I mean, it wasn't like a thing that I was really noticing, but like after you had a child, it really seemed like you felt like there was a change in your approach to all this stuff. Did you feel that?
I felt a change after leaving Nashville, and when I put out What I Deserve, and I was, not in Nashville proper anymore, and I was finding my path.
Mm-hmm.
And then for sure, when I had a kid and I had to be the grown up, and that changed the way I did stuff too. I just became more of a grown up.
I guess I noticed it just as a friend.
Yeah.
I noticed how do I put this?
Be careful.
I didn't feel nervous
Around me?
for you.
Oh, that's good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the word that comes to mind is like you kind of became fully realized in a sense.
Yeah.
Like,
At some point, I feel like I did everything wrong that you could possibly do on stage, and I survived. And I learned that I would, if I fell, done that, forget the words, done that 1,000 times, whatever it is. I knew that it was no big deal, and everything just relaxed after that. But also having kids, I guess you have this other thing in your life that is so rewarding and worth living for, and you can go, oh, who gives a crap about
right.
whatever happens out here?
Right.
I get to go home. And
Was What I Deserve the record that really took off?
yeah.
I mean, I remember it sold like a couple 100,000 copies or something.
Yeah. I think it was, I don't know, over 100,000.
It's a big record.
It was for me. I'd only ever sold about 10 or 15,000 each when I was on MCA.
What were your records on MCA?
The first one was called Well Traveled Love, and that was a band record.
Right.
And then the second one was called Bang Bang.
That's right.
And then the third one was self-titled.
Mm-hmm. What's the one that You Better Look? Yeah.
That's on the self-titled one.
Yeah.
And Tony Brown and Don West produced that one together.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
How was it working with Don Was?
It was great. So, because he came in, I guess he was doing, remember those Red Hot records? It was Red Hot and Country. So they were raising money for AIDS. I don't know what the company was called, but so he had come into town to put like a rock guy with a country person and do these things, and had seen one of my records in passing and was like, well, that's cool. And
so are you the first thing that he did in Nashville?
Well, other than that, I don't know. He might have been doing some other stuff right around that time, but yeah, maybe. Yeah.
That's pretty cool because he's kind of stuck around Nashville since then.
Yeah.
He's always like the band leader for things and works with Buddy Miller on stuff. And
yeah, maybe. I was in the early days
anyway.
And it was really nice because everybody was so impressed with Don Was that Don could have some idea or some outside idea or some instrumentation that they would have really thought was weird. But if it was his idea, they'd go, okay, cool, let's do that. And so I was really excited by that. We were able to, that record was really fun to make. And
it was a great record.
It felt creative.
I think that's when I jumped on the Kelly Willis train.
Oh, cool.
Because I remember buying that record.
Oh, great.
Was that 90?
I think it came out in 93.
See?
And then I got dropped in 94.
Well, if I loved it, then that was usually a pretty good sign.
That was the sign, like, oh, shit.
I should have known that about my own career. That when I like something, it's probably on its way.
Don't go with that, right? It's not going to happen in Nashville. But I loved my time in Nashville. Did you? I mean, you still doing stuff in Nashville?
I loved it. I love it. I think it's I've always had a real healthy relationship with Nashville, just because I guess, I'm a Willie Nelson disciple, as we all are, but I remember thinking about I didn't know what a career in music was. So I just read the liner notes of records that I liked. And everything that, like, being left of center didn't really make sense to me. All I knew was that I really, like, all my heroes made records in Nashville or had management in Nashville. And so it didn't really dawn on me that there was a center and a left of center until I really got there. All I knew was that I didn't like a lot of the center records. Yeah. But they weren't on my radar. I didn't buy them. Right. But I loved Clint Black. I loved Killing Time. I loved, and so I just always knew.
Always great stuff there. You just have to wait around for it,
Yeah.
And all music's like that.
Somebody has to do the business part.
Right.
And.
Right. But it is a bubble there. And if you've been in it, then you understand that a lot of what's happening outside of that bubble never registers there. Like, they don't know about it. So it's interesting.
Yeah. I just always loved it that there was a place you could throw a big net. Like, if that thing when they throw out and then you pull it back in and there's some fish in it. Yeah. That's kind of what I always thought of it as. And I was like, well, and I knew that a lot of artists that I dug from Austin or from Texas or whatever, I would always wonder why I was trying to figure out, like, that guy's great. Why doesn't he have anything going on? Right. And Nashville solved that. I was like, you got to go do this other thing. Yeah. And that's okay. They've got to make some money. And now especially, I don't know how they make money. So they're investing all this money in someone. But it just didn't fit me. And it's funny because when I first wanted to be a musician, I loved these kind of regional acts or these kind of mid-tier bands. And I moved to Austin because of the Leroy Brothers and the Tailgaters. Like, that kind of a life really appealed to me. I didn't know who those were. They rockabilly bands or?
Yeah, no, they were I don't know if you call it rockabilly, but it was just roots rock. And Evan Johns. Did you ever know Evan Johns and the H-Bombs? Just great, rootsy, grungy guitar. Great, and also like the Fabulous Thunderbirds. That's why I wanted to move here. And when I got here, we had a Patsy Cline song in the show, and we had an Ernest Tubb song in there and stuff. But Carlin was like, when you sing country, that's where your voice is happy, and it just sounds, that's what you need to be doing. And when I got here, there was so much country music that I had never really heard of. Like, I loved all the what I thought of as the cool 60s stuff that was kind of like rockabilly. But then I started hearing all the cool 70s stuff that I had completely written off. And was able to kind of see how much there is in country, how much growth potential there is in country music. Rockabilly, you really can't do anything all that groundbreaking, or, it's kind of a structure.
Because it was groundbreaking when it was breaking.
and it's super fun. I still love it, but it's hard to do something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, it kind of paints itself in a corner.
Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that story.
Sounds like Carlin was cool, though. Sounds like she was
cool.
really...
She was cool, but she was just a assertive, aggressive, woman. And
kind of a chick.
Oh my God, one time we were in there with Bruce Hinton, president of MCA at the time.
Right.
And I don't remember what he said to me, but she said, "Kelly, can you get up and leave the room, please?" And I was like, "Okay." And she said, if you ever talk to me like that in front of my client again, like I don't even know what the threat was, but it was, don't do that. Like she was not afraid. She was very ballsy. So, and then I came back in and I was like, oh shit, I hope I still have a record deal. But yeah, she was cool.
Where did she pass away?
No, she moved recently. She's living in the town that her kids are in so she can be near her grandkids. But she worked on the local Grammy board and did a lot with South by. And
She worked with everybody from here. Didn't she also work with Charlie Sexton and...
Oh, I don't know. I know that Charlie and Will. So she and George Majeski used to own the Soap Creek Saloon, which was a legendary music venue. And I know Charlie and Will were little kids there that kind of grew up.
Okay.
You know how the story is how they were always sleeping in clubs and stuff. And
yeah, they
were little kids out at Soap Creek.
So who did What I Deserve? Who produced that record?
I started it out in San Francisco with these guys who things didn't go well. And so at this point, I was like, no, I'm not making a record. I'm not compromising. I'm not making a record I'm not 100% into. I just did 3 years of that or 3 records of that. And this may be the last record I ever make. So it matters to me. So I took my tapes and I came back home. And I brought Chuck Prophet back with me. He had been hired as a gun for hire on that session.
On the session.
So he came back with me and Mark Spencer, and we got Dave McNair to take what was there and finish it up, and did some new recordings as well. And
wow, that must have been scary.
It was scary.
Taking something apart and putting it back together. I've never done that.
Yeah, it was scary, but you know, I had it. The alternative was to be passive and do something I wasn't proud of again. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm proud of all the things I did I
was about to say
in Nashville, but it was always like a more push and pull than a little. It was always hard, and I just felt like this is it. I need to get it right. You know, I felt I had never really succeeded with those other records.
Was it always the record was supposed to get your career somewhere that, like a means to an end kind of thing?
There was a lot of pressure. MCA was spending a lot of money on it. And I mean, I only got to do 3 records there because I was Tony Brown's project, you know. But it did feel like I was letting everyone down at every turn. And it just was... It was rough.
That's tough.
Yeah. I mean, I was never like stepping up to the plate and hitting it out of the park ever, you know. I mean, okay, I did have some hit videos, but that didn't turn into anything.
Right. That's interesting. So the expectations were out in front of you.
Yeah.
And they weren't necessarily your, like sounds like you didn't really have a lot of ownership in the expectations part.
Right.
But you wanted ownership in the music.
I was just so young, and we got signed. I was a band when we got signed, but they only signed me. And so suddenly I had to become a solo artist, and I had not been.
What was it? Kelly Willis and the...
At Radio Ranch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
Yeah, it's all right. It's cute. Before that, my first band was Kelly and the Fireballs.
So would you have signed Kelly Willis and Radio Ranch, or would you have signed Kelly Willis if you were the label? Like, do you understand it?
Yeah. I mean, I for sure, and I understand it. I understood it then. We were lucky too. We made them let the band play on that record. So it was a band record, even though it was only my name on the front.
How much pushback did you get there?
We got a lot. And then the second record, it was brutal. They were done letting us experiment. But they would let us have some songs that were ours, and then some songs that were meant to be, you know, pitched at radio. Like, so it was awkward for a young person to be trying to negotiate that with my band and the record label and understanding
That's
that
tough.
I'm going to get no record deal or this record deal.
Right.
And this record deal was pretty amazing.
Did you understand, like, the first time you went in the studio with Nashville Cats? Mm-hmm. I remember, because I did the same thing. I got signed and made a record and fought mm-hmm. to have my band on it.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of pushback.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember some of the producers I was interviewing or talking, having lunch with to see if we want to work together. I didn't understand it because I hadn't worked with the Nashville guys. They were like, well, we can do it with your band. It's just going to take a lot longer and it's going to be a lot of work. And mm-hmm. and I was like, well, whatever. You know, I was young too.
Right.
And then the first time I went in the studio with those guys, it's like, oh boy, this is some power.
Right.
It's like,
yeah.
Did you?
You know, I was worried about sounding like a sellout.
Yeah.
So for me, that sound wasn't good. I didn't like it. I wanted it to be just a little weirder.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was tricky too. Trying to get these amazing, incredible, world-class musicians to make your record sound interesting and not like everything
that
else,
other stuff,
which is what the producer wants them to do, is make it sound like everything else. So
yeah,
that's where the trouble was.
That's troubling. I mean, it's tough. Mm-hmm. That is tough, and that's funny.
Oh, I remember where I was going with my story earlier about the tailgaters. Is that I wanted to do that. That was a dream to me. Would be to be that kind of person playing really cool rock rooms, rootsy clubs, right? A dream to get to do that. And I skipped it. You know, like I did play a bunch of rock clubs, but we didn't have big following or anything. And then I went and here I am in this, you know, big country superstar world. And I'm not prepared for that. I've never dreamed of doing that. I mean, do I want to be incredibly successful? Yes, I would love that. But I was not prepared for that. And so to me, it's funny that after I made What I Deserve and I had more success in this kind of independent world, that I was able to go find the career path that fit me, that I could understand and that I could be successful at.
Yeah.
So
that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But that's also what I was talking about. The expectations of that. I mean, I can see how that happened. Not happened to you, but did happen to you because you're young, you're beautiful, you have this incredible voice, you can write, you have a sense of identity that is bubbling. And so it seems like expectations were put on you by others, and then you. I mean, I hate to. Yeah. I'm not trying to dissect you, but it's like then you have this voice that you haven't found yet that disappears on you when you open your mouth. It's miraculous
that any of that happened. It really is.
Well.
And so I look back on it as the greatest gift. I mean, this nothing kid got to go in there and work with these amazing world-class musicians and producers and record company people and photographers and makeup artists. And I mean, unreal learning experience.
Absolutely.
That, you know, some of it I miss, you know, and in the world that I fit better in. But
yeah, I mean, you brought your own makeup in here today.
I did. And I dressed myself and I did my own hair. But, you know, I remember. And And I took some of that stuff with me,
Right.
you know, learned. Right now, I'm trying to just keep learning. I want to be in a learning mode. Like, to me, that is what keeps depression at bay and fear and anxiety, is if you can find a way to keep learning.
Absolutely.
You don't have time to worry about it too much.
Have you dealt with depression?
A little bit. I've had phases, dark times, but not like seriously. Not where like I thought, I needed to get on medication. I just, I probably should have gone on some medication at some point, like my anxiety issues. Like, now the medication is available for that stuff, which I think I'm all in favor of it. I have a lot of people in my life that I know do it, and it really helps them. But it wasn't a thing back then when I had my
We have a recurring character in this podcast.
Back when I had all that social anxiety, like I think I kind of cured myself for the most part in that immersion therapy. Like I just had to keep going out on stage. I had to keep doing radio interviews. I had to keep doing it. And then finally
You got comfortable.
you're okay. But it was bad for several years. It's not like it happened quickly, but
I've always thought of that. I mean, I don't know many performers that I like that didn't have anxiety about it. You know,
Right.
I mean, it's almost like, I've always thought of it, the stage as like a waterfall.
yeah.
Like right at the end of the stage is the waterfall.
Yeah.
Have you ever, I just remember thinking of this one time when I walked, I think I was even in a fake waterfall, like a pool, and it was coming down. But when you walk through it, I always think that somebody's going to punch you in the face. Like, because you can't see anything for a second.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And then you come in and then you're in this whole other environment. And that's what I always,
Feel like going on stage is like?
yeah, like it's my job to walk through that waterfall and then connect with whatever's on the other side.
Right.
But it's that same feeling of like, oh shit, oh God,
Go.
are they going to hit me in the face?
Yeah. It's like right before showtime, I go, why am I doing this? Who does this? Why would you do this? Why am I going to go on stage and talk to people? And it's just crazy.
I had that a little bit today. I mean,
Right.
anytime there's something that we've set up to have a good time.
Yeah, and you're thinking 2 days ago, I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be so
It's gonna
fun.
be great.
And then you go to do it, you're like, why do I do this?
Like, oh God, is Kelly coming? Oh, maybe she'll cancel.
I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to be judged again on my camera? Oh.
But then you get into it and you lose yourself. That's the beauty of what we do, is that
Yeah.
once you lose yourself, then you come out and you're like, oh my God, that was great.
Yeah, it is. It's really fun. I was telling my son the other day, I was trying to figure out what other job I could do. And he's like, Mom, you have the best job in the whole world. And I'm like, you know what? I do. You're right. Sometimes you just forget and you're like, because it is also difficult. It's a difficult job. It's like you have to keep reinventing yourself. You have to keep finding a way for people to care what you're doing and be willing to book you because you have a new record. You just to continue the creativity is challenging.
Yeah, it is. It's so funny you say that. I mean, I think it might just be our age and where we're at personally, of like, I've done the same thing. Like, what could I do? And then,
Right. And then I'm like, nothing.
yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, that would take like years of education. I'm not doing that. Like,
Right. Imagine somebody trying to become an artist.
right.
It would take years of
Yeah.
all the things that we've been talking about for the last hour are
Yeah.
all the things that allow us to.
You kind of have to be stupid at the beginning of any carear.
That's
You kind of have to not even think about what's going to be hard about it in order to do it, whatever it is.
I know. Well, remember, were you ever in drama or anything in high school?
Yeah, a little bit.
You were?
A little bit.
What'd you do?
I did a play in 9th grade. I did some plays in middle school, but I got into college under the drama major back before people knew that this was a way you could sneak into hard schools. So I got into Virginia Tech as a drama major, and then I didn't go. I moved to Austin instead, but I couldn't act. I was terrified. What was I thinking? And I've gone out and read for stuff in LA a million times, and it's like, these people, they have good intentions, but they don't know what they're getting into. Anything I did get booked for, it was like without an audition, and then they just had to deal with it afterwards.
That's great.
But so did you do theater?
I did. Just 1 year. I had a locker right by in high school. I had a locker right by the drama department, the drama room.
Okay.
And I was into athletics and stuff. And I just remember that door would open and this energy would come out with these kids. And I knew them. I wasn't really good friends with them, but I knew them. And you could just feel that coming out of that room. And I was like, I think those might be my people. Like, I like being a jock, and I like being a cool guy, but those people are crying, they're laughing, they're screaming. And so my senior year, I had to take an elective. And so I took drama 1.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting the lead part in the play that year.
How'd you do? Were you like a natural?
I took to it.
Comfortable.
I loved it.
That's nice.
Well, I got to play. I was kind of typecast or whatever. Like there was a guy who did all the plays. His name was Chuck, and he was a really good actor. But they did a play called The Rainmaker, where this guy has to sell. There's a drought in Oklahoma, and I was a traveling shuckster. Yeah. And
that makes sense.
So they said my audition was to stand on a table and carry a stick and tell everybody how I was going to bring rain to town. And they go, "Oh yeah, you're full of shit." Perfect.
Where's that kid that's full of shit?
Yeah. Oh, I got one in my drama 1 class. But yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know where we were going with that. I think it was just a way.
Well, my mom was an actress. She was a nurse.
Oh, that's right.
She was a nurse and an actress. And so I wanted to be a nurse or an actress or in the Army. I had zero vision other than what my parents were. So, yeah.
What did your mom, did she do TV or just stage stuff or?
Stage. She did a lot of community theater. When in the military, she had very little control over where she was going to be at any one time. So she could do the community theater though. And, but then she did theater in New York and in LA. Yeah.
Was she like a typical actress? Like was she up and down and loud, or was she quiet and understated?
I don't know that she was she loved to sing. She did musical theater, and she sang when she was in high school in a little group. So she'd like to be doing that. She'd definitely love to be the center of attention and singing and just, yeah, she was theatrical, I guess.
Yeah. What was her name?
Julia. Well, she had many last names because she did get married 4 times, but Julia Cooper was her maiden name.
My sister's name's Julia.
Oh, really?
It's a pretty name.
It is. They fought over it so there's also a Julia in the Robinson family. And so there was a lot of fighting over that name. So we got a Juliana and a Julia in the cousins group down there. Or the nieces and nephews.
You lost out.
Lost out, yeah.
Is Abby ever going to like me, you think?
Maybe.
What did she
Maybe my voice cracks. Sure.
What did she have to say when you told her you were coming out here?
I don't remember what we did. I was mentioning that I was going to do this thing, and I think I said, Jack's easy to talk to, though. He talks to everybody. And I think she just was like, yeah. Yeah, he talks a lot to
What
everybody.
did I do to her?
I don't know.
How old is Abby?
I don't know. She's 19. Yeah.
Abby.
I don't know, but my friend Stacy threw her in a pool when she was little, and she's never forgiven her for that either. I think it might be Abby. Maybe it's Abby. It's not you.
Abby, we can be friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's good talking to you.
It's great talking to you. Thanks for having me on. This was fun.
Have a pick.
Aw, which one is this?
Well, I don't know. I picked it at random.
I can't read that far.
Well, here, you need a Jack Ingram pick.
I definitely need a Jack Ingram pick. Thank you. Taking guitar lessons.
You are?
I am.
Like to play lead or just play more jazzy
Just to play
chords?
better so I can do song swaps and be a little more self-sufficient.
I've thought about doing that too.
I'm taking it from Kevin Carroll. He's
Really?
such a great teacher.
I haven't seen him in years.
He's great. I mean, it's also a little bit like paying someone to be your friend for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It's it's like you feel good and then you're like, oh yeah, I paid him to do that.
That's funny. Is it technical or do y'all just play and he just kind of teaches you fingerings?
He is, he's kind of takes the whole approach. So kind of we started with strumming patterns. Like he watches you play and kind of sees what might be helpful for you. And then, so I hadn't taken guitar lessons since I first learned how when I was 18. And I've just learned as I need to know kind of a basis. Yeah. And so we're doing the C scale and we're learning how to pick the intro to If I Left You. And now I'm supposed to be learning how to pick Wildwood Flower. So, you know, I do everything in C. So I'm just learning how to.
You do?
I do. So if I learn how to, you know, maneuver in the key of C on other stuff, then hopefully I'll be able to do simple pickups, you know.
You might have just
intros.
gotten Kevin some more business. I've been trying to figure out who I would.
He's great. You got to go.
All right. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.
Dude.
That was fun.
That was
we
great.
did okay.
We
Even
did
though we were
great.
super nervous.
Great.